Today we're going to have, finally, some more information on Nyla and Neem and their seeking of a sister wife, updates on the rest of the couples, but best of all, the gem and creme de la creme, Danielle and Garrick. We find out if Natalia kicks him to the curb. Let's talk about it. Oh, people, we have to just follow the lies as they go along. Let's start with how the lies began with Garrick and the whole app situation. In the last episode, Natalia grabs Garrick's phone to use the translator app and notices he's getting messages from dating apps. She's upset. He had told her when they first started dating, I'm deleting the dating app on my phone. Now she can see that that was a lie. Garrick tried to act like he had no idea the app was on his phone.
Yeah. You still have your profile on there.
Oh, gee.
They can see your profile. You knew that. Yeah. You knew that.
They can't message.
You knew that they could see your profile.
But they can't message.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then she points out the messages that are coming from it. And he's like, oh, yeah, there's nothing I can do. It's inactive. It's not on there. Danny's all upset. I tried to get you to delete that app a long time ago. Garrick's like, oh, it's all right. It's all right. Natalia, don't worry about it. I'll delete it now. Danny's mad.
I asked you to do that months ago and you wouldn't do it.
What, did I say I wouldn't do it?
Yeah. You were like, why? We're going to be searching for other wives.
Well, I thought...
And now you're just like, oh, no problem. I'll delete it.
I didn't disagree with you.
You
I
did
said
disagree
if
with
we
me.
delete
You did
the app...
disagree with me.
How come you wouldn't delete it months ago when I told you to delete it? I mean, he's got himself in a mess. So we open up the scene with Danny saying to him, you've been showing me new people on there. Because he said, you can't see people. You might get a message, but you can't really talk back and forth, and you can't look up people. And Danny says, that's a lie. You've been showing me people. Straight out calls him out on the carpet. And what does Garrick say? No, you can't see him unless you pay. And Danny looks like she's going to explode.
You absolutely have.
No, I didn't.
You've shown me new people, Garrick.
No, you can't see them unless you pay.
I don't know why she just didn't scream,
Lies! The lie!
And at this moment, Danny realizes what his motives really are. And that wasn't to just leave it right now and start a relationship with Natalia and then eventually down the road acquire more sister wives. She now knows he's been lying to her. He wants to date more people right away. Otherwise, he would have gotten rid of the app. And then he changes the story again. Again, you can't even keep up with this. It started with, it's not even on my phone, or, oh, you don't have access to it. People can message you, but you can't respond. You can't see people. Oh, I did show you pictures of people? Okay, I guess you can see people. Now he's finally admitted that he not only kept the app, he not only can receive messages, but he also can respond to them. Because this is what he says.
But remember, I told you that I didn't shut everything down because I wanted to settle things with past people because I didn't think it was fair to not engage with them anymore and be rude to them.
And this is so classic Garrick, starting off with, remember? Which, nothing to remember. You know he's making this up and this is a lie. Trying to cover himself. He does this all the time. Remember? I told you. Remember? We agreed? Here we go. He says, remember? I told you I wasn't going to close it out until I settled things with people because it would be rude. Really? You just said you haven't been messaging anybody, all right? So that would mean you've been rude because you haven't been messaging anybody back and forth. But no, we're going to backpedal. Okay, maybe I have been messaging people. But I told you I had to keep messaging them to settle things up and tie it up. Okay, call me crazy. That's one text. Unless he has 5,000 women he's talking to, and there's no way on God's green earth there are 5,000 women interested in Garrick, let's face it. Whoever he happens to be talking to, he has to send one text. I found somebody that I'm pursuing. Good luck on your dating journey. If you're still available when I go to seek another sister wife, hopefully we can hook up again. Goodbye. Cut, paste, send. Cut, paste, send. It's been months since Danielle told him to get rid of the app. He's been dating Natalia for 3 to 4 months. Still hasn't been able to tie up loose ends. The lies. And then he kind of changes the story back again. And this is where it gets completely confusing. And I don't know why Danny doesn't hold his feet to the fire. But after that, he says, I quit talking to people. Like, I don't know why you're so upset that I have this app. I quit talking to people. Well, how are you able to tie up loose ends if you quit talking to people? Doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. Oh, my frustration level. Screaming at the television. In classic Garrick, in his talking head, he presents it like this.
I quit talking to people. I guess I didn't take the next step thinking it through because I did what I said. I'm going to quit talking to people. But I guess that's where you learn what women think.
It's the women's fault, not his. Classic narcissistic response. Not my fault. It's the women's fault. Gotta figure out how these crazy women think. Don't blame me. I have a normal brain. These crazy women, who can figure out what they think? Women. And yet he wants 5. He wants 5 wives. He cannot handle one wife. I call her a wife. Okay, people have been correcting me. I will always refer to Danielle as the wife. Officially divorced, but still living in the home with them, still functioning as a wife, still have the 2 boys living in the house. She did the divorce just so that he could marry somebody in a foreign country and bring him into the United States. So, as I see it, he has 1 wife. He's courting a 2nd wife. He can't handle it. But he seems to think he's going to be able to juggle 5 of them. Oh, please try. It'll be amazing television. There's another short scene here that shows part of his deception, which annoyed me as well. Let me share.
I definitely think I've hurt my relationship with Natalia. She doesn't know me that great. She may not know where I'm coming from.
His first instinct is, of course, he's worried that he hurt Natalia. He's not worried that he lied and his wife's upset. We're worried about Natalia because she doesn't understand where he's coming from. That's the kicker, and we're going to get to it. Oh, she understands. She understands where you're coming from. She is way more on to you than Danny even is. She understands you, Garrick, more than you understand yourself. And then the line that made me go,
I was going to propose tonight, and that ain't happening. I don't know.
Seriously? After all of this, and you were going to propose tonight. Man, this man is not going to leave Mexico without getting Natalia in his bed. He is on a mission. Oh, and there was another proposed word. So we can go back to our drinking game. Y'all can take a shot. He mentioned the proposal again.
Got.
All right, let's go to another family. This is a Salhudin, I believe it's pronounced, family. It's Nyla and Naeem. It opens up with them in the car. They're on their way to the airport. They're going to pick up Keisha. This is a girl online that they've been courting, dating virtually for quite some time. They're in communication with each other all the time. They're texting all the time. They FaceTime all the time. The 3 of them all like each other. She's coming to visit. They're going to pick her up. On the way there, they stop at the florist, get a big, huge planter of flowers. Very odd gift to give somebody. I didn't understand that, as opposed to just, like some flowers and that you hand some. It was a very heavy ceramic container with dirt and all these flowers in it. It's kind of odd. But okay, let me just step aside and say Nyla and Naeem have money. They are in a beautiful neighborhood. You don't see the exterior of their home, but the community is beautiful. This garden shop is amazing and lovely and has, green areas and floral areas that you can walk around in. You know how sometimes you can tell it just smells of money? That's what it did. And I don't know what car he was driving because they blur out the images of the manufacturer of the cars. But the seat of his car had these glowing red balls behind the fabric that were moving around in a circle on this side and on this side. So there were two of them on each side moving around and glowing. I've never seen such a thing. Call me crazy. I buy base level cars. It looked insane. At first I thought they were just lights to make it look cool, but you could see through the fabric that they were pushing the fabric almost as if they were like little massage balls, except that it was way up here by your head, which is really uncomfortable. I've been in massage chairs, and being shorter, when it goes up to your neck, it kind of goes up to my head. I'm like, oh, all right, I don't need the hard balls on my head. Okay. And that's where his were located. Now, he was sitting forward, so they weren't pressing on anything. I just found it bizarre. Maybe you can write down below, any of you wealthy people out there, or people who know friends who are wealthy, let me know what those are. Are they meant to really massage? And if so, why are they so high up? Or can you control them and move them down? Oh, I just thought about this. Maybe he had them up high for the camera so they could see these glowing balls. And he's like, I got money. That could be. So after they get the planter of flowers, they're on their way to the airport and they get a text. The text is from Keisha, and she says, oh, I just realized, it's not going to work out. I can't come. I have so many loose ends to tie up. I have to do something with my car. Huh? Go to the airport garage and park? I don't know. Call me crazy. And then goes on to say, I'm going to go stay with my friends for a while. Why that had to do with anything, I don't know. She never got on the plane. They go home disappointed. Let's talk about the Ryans in Texas, Justin and Becky. The couple that I like less and less and less and less every episode. Okay, since I mentioned that Nyla and Nakeem look like they have money, let me just say Justin and Becky do too. I can't remember the city in Texas they live in, but they have a beautiful big home. They appear to be able to financially support another wife whether she works or not, as opposed to situations like a Cody Brown. Opposite. So they were all disappointed in the last episode because they got stood up from a random girl that they tried to pick up in a bar. Surprised? Not surprised. Shockingly, after they got home, or shortly afterwards, they got a phone call from Stephanie, the girl that they had been courting on and off for, I don't remember how many months they said, 9 months or something like that. She's the one that's all in, 100%, and they get together and things are great, and then she ghosts them. I mean, it sounds like the maturity level of a 16-year-old, so why this isn't working out, I don't know why it's a surprise. But they were in a period of an entire month of her ghosting them, and then, surprise, she calls. Now, during the call, she says she wants to get back together with them again. And as opposed to them being suspect and saying, we keep going back and forth with this, they get very excited and said, all right, we're on our way. Book a hotel room. See you shortly. Sidestep here. Justin says, Stephanie is our sister wife. Just like that. Like, I mean, what? Not a sister wife. She lives in another state and she keeps ghosting you. She's somebody you're dating. Okay. Anyway, just wanted to say, somehow he thinks that, and he comes right out and professes, I am in love with her. So they're all packed and ready to go on the road trip, and the night before, the cameras weren't there, the night before, they get a text or a phone call from her saying, oh, I have to work. Don't come. And I think they tried to talk her into it, and she's like, no, don't come. So what do they decide to do the next day? They're packing anyway, and they're going. They make one questionable decision after another. Walk into a random bar and think you'll find somebody who wants to join your polygamous marriage? Questionable decision. Questionable decision number 2, the wife who keeps ghosting you is telling you do not come, and you're just going to show up. I don't think it's going to go well. Call me crazy. I might be wrong, but we'll see. We have this lovely clip of Ryan.
Because in other down times, whenever we did see each other, she seemed to melt, in my arms. So we were like, once we show up, she's going to be happy to see us.
Ew. He thinks way more of himself than he should. I'm really liking him less and less. But then he one-ups himself.
Oh my gosh, I'm starting to get excited again.
Hey, did we bring chapstick? Gotta make sure my lips are all moist and kissable.
Ew times 2. He is on the train to Creepyland. And he says that Stephanie has recommitted herself to them several times. How many red flags do there have to be before you realize the flag is red? Stop. Don't go any further. Move on. Several. We're going back to the Merrifields because this relationship is horrifying and amazing at the same time. I hate that I'm saying that. I hate that I enjoy it so much. But I'm sorry. I do not want to see people like Garrick succeed in the world. I want to see him get his. And he puts himself on national television. I'm going to enjoy the downfall. It's for his own good. If he comes back to reality and realizes I should have never done this in the first place and just ends up with Danny and the boys and lives happily ever after, social media's done a good thing. Am I justifying my channel? Probably. So this scene opens up as the next morning after the big brouhaha last night. Natalia didn't even stay for dinner. She just said, I'm going to bed, and left. So he's down in the kitchen. Danny's down there too. They sit down, and Garrick gives the most sincere apology I have ever heard. Let's watch it.
Hey, so, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about, everything last night. Feel really bad. So.
I feel bad. So... Oh, goodness. That was all you had, and then you needed her to respond to that? Okay. All right, let's go on. He did after that say, I should have listened to you, I think. You think? I think so, too. You should have listened to Danny. But I don't think that's how it works in their household. I think what Garrick says is what happens. We don't listen to Danny. Everybody listens to Garrick. We need to change that dynamic. He does go on to say, I'm sorry later on. And I know he is, because he was going to propose to Natalia the night before. He was going to get it on, and it didn't happen. Wah, wah, wah. I don't think Danny was giving anything up that night either. It was a lonely night for Garrick.
In his lonely bed.
Well, we don't know what was all said in the bedroom that night, but as we could have probably predicted, Danny says that Garrick is an emotional and super sensitive person. She knows that he never intended to hurt her. You know what? I hate this excuse on all of reality TV stars. I didn't intend to hurt you, Tom Sandoval, if you're watching Vanderpump Rules. Doesn't matter. You did. I don't know why all of a sudden people are saying, well, I didn't mean to hurt you. So it's all okay, because it wasn't my intention to hurt you. But you did. You need to apologize. You need to be contrite. And then you need to change your ways. I didn't mean to hurt you. Don't care. Just words. But this is Danny saying it about Garrick, so she's bought it, hook, line, and sinker.
You know, Garrick is a super sensitive, kind, emotional person. And I know that he did not intend to hurt myself or Natalia. I think that he truly realizes that he did, but I think that he definitely wants to make it right and that he loves us both.
And her description of him as super sensitive, I see him cry for himself. I mean, at least he can muster up tears. How genuine they are, I don't know. Because the majority of the time, we don't see a super sensitive, emotional person. We see somebody who's very selfish and really has no emotions. Very flat affect on his face. Emotionless all the time. Just talking like this.
I feel very disappointed in myself because I absolutely hate lying and doing anything like that. And I am very ashamed.
He comes across as somebody who's high or drugged. And I don't think he is. I'm not saying he is. I really don't think he is. I think that's just who he is. But I wouldn't match that up with a really sensitive, emotional person. Not somebody that always just talks like this. So as they're talking at breakfast, eventually Danny says, well, you know what? We've only known her for 3 to 4 months, so... And Garrick's response is what you would expect.
We've only known her, like, 3 short months, almost 4, right? Almost 4.
But still think I should propose to her. You know, she's important to me.
Nothing is going to keep this man from proposing to her. She can show up with another guy at the resort and he's still going to propose to her before the end. Oh my. We have the typical response from Danny then.
You know, sorry.
God leads us and we walk together.
And her agreeing with him like she's in a trance. Yes, master. It feels like she's just reciting words like a mantra that she's heard from him very often. This is a line that we're going to say, right? God wants this, right? We agreed, right, Danny? It's God's will. I really hate how he uses God to manipulate her because you don't want to argue with God. So if she's respecting and believing him and she thinks he's getting a sign from God, well, then she's going to follow along. I don't know why she's believing that he got a word from God, but somehow she is. And then manipulation of it all and using God as part of it is sickening to me. And Natalia comes down, so she puts her arms around and gives Danny a big hug. And then she walks around Garrick and sits in another chair. She doesn't even shake his hand or say hello. So they're talking and Garrick says, listen, let's all together go through. Let's delete these dating apps. So he still hasn't deleted them. The shocking part. After all that blow up last night and then all night long, he didn't go delete everything right away. They're still on his phone. He didn't have to delete them in front of her to prove it. She could just go through his phone and see what apps were there. But I'm thinking, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he thought, let's delete them together. This will be a bonding thing we do before the proposal. So he suggests it, and Natalia says, well, first, how many apps do you have? And he's like, ooh. Danny? Every question Natalia asks, he gets big eyes and he stares at Danny for Danny to answer.
Yeah, but what? Okay, but what number profiles in apps? You don't remember?
Anytime he doesn't know what to say, it's, Danny, answer it for me. This is a tough question. I don't know the answer. How many dating apps do you have? And then he's like, and he starts to talk. Natalia's like, no, number. 1, 2, 3, just number. How many? And he's like, and then he just looks at Danny. And Danny's like, well, a lot. And he goes, yeah, a lot. And then you can see that Natalia's not happy with the answer. And Danny volunteers like 10. And Garrick's like, oh, yeah, like 10. And which means there's probably 15. Because Garrick lies all the time. So he probably thought, whew, I'll get off and just say there's only 10 of them. I got 20 of them on my phone. He's like, yeah, like 10. Well, Natalia's like, 10? What are you talking about? She was floored. She had no idea. She doesn't understand.
No translator. Yeah, I want to understand.
Lots.
10. Lots.
10?
Lots.
10?
10.
I didn't even know there were 10 dating apps out there. Of course, dating apps were before my time. I was married before people even carried their own cell phones. All right, we're moving on. We're going back to the Salhudins, Nyla and Naeem. And they're at the restaurant where they were supposed to be taking Keisha to dinner. They're trying to analyze what went wrong with this whole thing. And as very mature people do, they have decided, boom, done, closing the door. Keisha's no longer part of the picture. She stood them up. They're moving on. They're the most mature couple on this entire season. Yes, that's what you should do. Naeem said that he wants to just be doing dating in person now. He thought the problem was also being online, that they weren't able to connect as much. This obviously wouldn't happen if it was in person. Nyla's a little bit more concerned about it. She kind of liked the online dating thing. I think to her it seemed a little safer, but she's open to it. And they decide that's what they're going to do going forward, very intellectually and maturely. What a breath of fresh air.
They're like normal.
We go to the Davis family for the first and only time in this episode, and we have April sitting down and talking with Danielle. And April has not had a just one-on-one good conversation with Danielle since she's been back into the house. So the conversation was pretty much April sharing her feelings, how much she hurt when Danielle was gone, how much she hurt that it was so abrupt and they weren't notified in advance, how much she loves her. And then she shared, I was just like, oh. She shared how all of them missed her a lot. But what hurt her the most was when at night she was going to brush Vera's teeth for her, and Vera did not want her to brush her teeth because Danielle is the one that brushes her teeth every night. And then Danielle starts crying. And Danielle says, oh, yes, I do that every night. That's our special time. I love that child. And now Danielle is all upset. She's like, oh, that breaks my heart that you're telling me that, because that's exactly what I didn't want to happen. I thought by me just picking up and leaving, it would be easier rather than making a big deal of my leaving. April said it was more hurtful because she went and just took her finances and got an apartment and made it pretty clear she was gone. And Danielle was like, no, I'm not gone. I was trying to figure it out. I thought it would be the best way. Danielle is young. What is she, 23, 24? She made the comment in the last episode, this is the most love she's ever felt in her life. So she's had a rough life. I think she's just so confused. I think she truly does love them. I think she truly loves that little baby. But I think the entering of another person into this relationship made her realize, oh, this is going to keep growing. I'll be getting less attention from Nick. Maybe I should have a guy just for myself. I'm young now. If I'm going to go, now's the time to go, which is true. It's kind of a mature thing to think about. And then it was beautiful, really, at the end. I can't believe I'm making this family sound sweet, nice, and normal. But I think they are sweet and nice. I mean, just polygamy's not normal. So Danielle's really broken up. And April had this beautiful thing to share with her.
You better forgive yourself because I forgive you. I know Jenny forgives you. I know Nick forgives you. We forgive you, Danielle. We understand. It's not for that there's not understanding. There is understanding there. We understand. We do. So please forgive yourself because don't carry that guilt.
I love that. They all forgive her. So she needs to forgive herself. I've seen on social media that there are many people who are not April fans. I don't know why. I like her. My perspective. Jen and Nick, not huge fans of. Danielle, I feel for. I think she's been through it and she's still trying to figure it out. And April actually seems mature in this whole thing. And then April reassures Danielle at the very end and says, listen, we're going to take dating a new wife slow now. Which makes Danielle cry even more because that's what Danielle was struggling with so much. And for her to feel like they love her enough to really take it into consideration. Because Jen was sort of like, well, we're getting another wife, like it or not. And that's why I like April. She has a heart. She has emotions. We haven't seen any emotions from Jen. Might be a great lady, don't know. On the surface, stoic and comes across sort of mean girly. At least compared to April. Let's go back to the Merrifields and Appgate. This is priceless. How the stories about the apps have been changing. Every time Garrett gets caught again, he changes his story again. No one's really challenging him on the fact that he's been changing his story in the past 12 hours so many times. And now that Natalia is really upset that he has 10 dating apps on his phone, Garrick lies again, saying it was both their idea to get these apps on his phone.
Tem?
Lots.
10?
10. Yeah. Lots. I guess me and sister did that to start out with because so many people don't go on these apps to live plural.
You can tell by the expression on Danny's face this is not true. I wish she'd just call him out. Natalia says, is there anything else that I need to know? And Garrick says no. And Natalia rolls her eyes. She's so onto him. I love it.
That was very unwise and not the way I should have done things.
Is there anything else I don't know that you need to tell me?
No, not that I can think of.
So Natalia reiterated that she's still just shocked that he told her, I deleted the app, he didn't delete it, and there's actually 10 of them on his phone. And she says, what would you feel if you found that out? Can you understand what I'm feeling? Garrick doesn't know what to say. Looks to Danny. Give an answer here. Cover for me. Come on. That's your job, woman. Danny, silent. Silence is golden. She lets him just hang himself. What do you think, Garrick? So he just starts to muddle through and answer. He's ashamed. He's sorry there was a misunderstanding. He did lie and he's sorry he lied. Then we cut to a talking head where he basically states, I'm going to say anything I can to get this Natalia back. Let's just throw more lies on it. Why not?
I definitely am willing to do whatever it takes to show Natalia that I love her. I'm being sincere. I'm being honest. That even though, it looks bad, my intention wasn't to deceive or trick her,
Then Garrick has the nerve in this talking head to throw it back on Natalia like this is her problem.
Gonna come a time when she's had a little time of adjustment, we're gonna have 5 wives and we're gonna have the 10 dating apps back. So, she's gonna have to work through that also.
She better get used to it. I'm gonna have apps on my phone. My word. Here's a great scene. Danny tells Natalia, Garrick really didn't mean to hurt you. He meant no harm. And Natalia's response,
You always worry about defending.
And then she tells Danny that you need to stop defending Garrick. He needs to learn to bear the consequences of his mistakes. Yes. Love it.
He has to know how to bear the consequences of his mistakes.
She's too mature for this family. It is never going to work out. He apologizes to her again. She makes him promise that he will never lie to her again. He promises. They hug and make up.
Shoot.
It's not really how I wanted it to go. I don't feel like Garrick learned his lesson in the end. Natalia's still there. We end the episode with Becky and Justin on their very long road trip to go see Stephanie. I think during all these hours, they were getting angrier and angrier because they kept texting her, 0 response. They'd call her, 0 response. At this point, Becky says she is tired of being treated like crap. So basically, this is a shit or get off the pot moment for Stephanie. So they're in the car, and they're very close. They're in her city, Stephanie's city. And Justin says to Becky, should we go pay her gym membership? I'm like, huh? Okay. Why didn't I think of this before? It's so obvious. She, too, is just milking them for money. And sure enough, he says to Becky, let's pay her gym membership to soften her up. Because she has mentioned recently that she was all upset that she loves to work out, but she can't. She can't afford the yearly gym membership. So they literally stop at the gym, and Becky's like, we'd like to pay for the membership for a friend of ours. Before they even meet with her. They drive 17 hours, and she's ghosting them the entire time, not responding to any phone calls or texts. And the first thing they do is get her a gym membership. I mean, obviously they have a lot of money. Meant nothing to them. They thought it would soften her up. I mean, I don't know if they were going to knock on the door and say, we got your gym membership. Can we talk to you? I mean, how does she even know? Oh, I forgot to mention. When he said, should we pay the gym membership? Becky says, yeah, we want to make her happy. And I'm thinking, how much money and how many things have they bought for her? They say, we try to be generous to her. There's no longer any question about Stephanie. It is very clear that when she needs money, She's back in their lives. She gets everything she needs. When it starts to look like they're pushing for a marriage, she ghosts them. And because Ryan is completely head over heels in love with her, he falls right back in. And Becky allows it and encourages it. And I don't get it. So they're calling and she's not answering. So they just drive and pull up in her driveway. I feel like dumb decision number 3. But Becky goes up to the door, knocking on the door. And then we hear at the end, "Hi." End of the episode. I mean, we know what's going to happen the next time they show this family. It's a no-go. She's probably going to say she doesn't want to be on camera. She's going to use the cameras as the excuse that she doesn't want to get together with them. They'll probably try to meet with her off camera. It's not going to go that well. We all know her motivation. I think the gig is up now because her name is getting out there and people are going to try to sleuth it and figure out who she is, and she's embarrassed by it all. I think she now is going to do a 100% ghosting. It's over. It's done. She's going to find another family to mooch money off of. We'll see. That's my opinion. I've got lots of them. All right, let me know what you think about all these crazy families down below. That's all we have for this week. It was a good episode. Shocking. Every episode is good. And the ratings are going up and up and up and up, understandably. I hope you're enjoying the reviews. I'll be back next week with another one. Take care. Have a great week, everybody. Goodbye.